Matt Withrow here again to talk about practical anarchy. I talk about the ways we can practically use alternatives to government services. And just as I start this video, I got people flashing their lights at me to let me know that there is an officer of the law awaiting in the bushes, and they were correct. Thank you for those services. That, whether or not you believe it, is practicing anarchy. And so that's going to lead into what I want to talk about today. Before I talked about using, if you don't like the Federal Reserve, who does? Well, don't use the dollar. And that used to be a ridiculous statement. Now there's a viable alternative. Well, if you don't like the police, don't call them. Okay, now police, they're out fishing. They're looking for people violating the laws. But when somebody's doing some bad shit, we call them. Now, if you don't understand the difference between doing bad shit and breaking the law, you're watching the wrong. Go watch somebody who can explain anarchy to you in layman's terms. This is for people who already understand this. But the whole argument about why do we need police is always, well, what if somebody's out there doing some crazy shit and they need to be stopped? And they think that's why we have to have a government-run police force. But if in those rare instances we didn't call the police and all they did was fish, how much do you think that the community, the people who do like the police, would continue to like the police if all they did was fish? So if we create an alternative to that, and there are alternatives to that, then you would watch the police, the idea of the police, go away. So what do you do in those very rare instances where somebody is doing something, that is an actual violation of the non-aggression principle? They're breaking into somebody's house, they're beating somebody up. What do you do in those cases? Well, first off, learn how to handle it yourself. The police are not, they didn't come here from another dimension. They're human beings who learned a skill. Learn that skill. There are tiny little women police who can do amazing things. Probably put a guy like me on his ass real quick because they practice those skills over and over again. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to become a ninja, but, not everybody grows a good tomato. Not everybody can make a pair of shoes. But knowing someone who can, someone who is not paid with stolen money, that's what I'm looking for. And you know what? So much about the ability to take care of crazy situations like that is just numbers, man. If you get 14 weak to average people around your house at a break-in, they don't have to be all that skilled. And believe it or not, there's an app for that. It's called Cell 411, and there will be more apps in the future, I'm sure. But right now, you can have an alert system on your phone where if you have an emergency situation, you can let your list of people know that, hey, crazy shit's going down, could use some help. And it automatically starts recording if you want it to. You just have to check it out. It's called Cell 411. It's got some great features. And I'm telling you, people, technology is going to replace government services. Why? Because the people who don't want the services, don't want to pay for all the services they're getting, will have an alternative to doing so. If you were going to go get a bite to eat and there were 14 places you could go right there in the vicinity, and you keep going back to the same place and you get horrible service over and over again, you're an idiot. Stop going to that same place. So stop using government services when there's an alternative. And this day and age, there is almost always an alternative. What we're looking at could be the first bloodless revolution. You know, we don't need to burn shit down. We don't need to hurt people. You know, we just create alternatives, and we're able and be able to defend yourself from those who refuse to allow you to leave the system. And that could happen in the future, and you need to be able to defend yourself against the state. You need to, you know, that's another thing that Cell 411 app could come in very handy for. Oh my God, did he just suggest physically fighting back against the police? Yes. And if that question came to your mind, you are still a brainwashed, indoctrinated, bootlicking status. Sorry. There are other people to make videos for you to maybe break you out of your preconceived notions. You know, if you think somebody, because they put on a costume or because somebody printed some words on some fancy paper, they have more authority over you than you, I'm not the guy to listen to. So that's all I got for today, man. Thanks for paying attention. Sorry about the choppiness. I'm getting stoplights and traffic, and yeah, I'm driving. Fuck the law. All right, till next time. I'll talk to you again soon with more practical anarchy.